Once upon a time, in a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, lived a couple named Mary and James. They were overjoyed when their first and only child, a son named Michael, came into their lives. Michael was the light of their world, filling their home with laughter and love. But tragedy struck when Michael disappeared one fateful day while playing in the woods near their home. Despite their relentless search efforts, they couldn't find any trace of him, and their hearts shattered into a million pieces. Years passed, and Mary and James never gave up hope of finding their beloved son. They kept his memory alive by cherishing the moments they had shared with him. Meanwhile, life went on, but there was always a void in their hearts that nothing could fill. 20 long years later, Mary found herself rushed to the hospital due to a sudden illness. As she lay in her hospital bed, surrounded by beeping machines and sterile walls, a young doctor entered the room to check on her. Mary couldn't believe her eyes when she saw him. It was Michael, her long-lost son, all grown up and wearing a white coat. Overwhelmed with emotions, Mary called out to him, tears streaming down her face. Michael's eyes widened in surprise as he looked at the woman before him, sensing a familiarity he couldn't quite place. But then, recognition dawned on him as he saw the resemblance between the woman lying in the hospital bed and the images he had kept in his heart for all these years. In that moment, the years of separation melted away, and mother and son were reunited at last. Mary and James couldn't contain their joy as they embraced their son, their prayers answered after 2 decades of longing and uncertainty. Michael explained how he had been found by a kind family in the woods all those years ago and had been raised as their own. Despite not knowing his true identity, he had always felt a connection to his past. Now, as fate would have it, Michael had become a doctor, driven by a desire to help others just as his own life had been touched by the healing hands of those who had cared for him. The family's reunion brought healing and closure to years of pain and sorrow, proving that love and hope can endure even the darkest of times. And as they stood together, hand in hand, Mary, James, and Michael knew that their bond was unbreakable, forged by the trials they had overcome and the miracle of finding each other once again.